All right, everyone. My name is Blair Dorr. I am with the California Career Zone and Headed To, which is the technology partner that powers the California Career Zone. And in today's webinar, we are going to go through both the state-sponsored version of the California Career Zone as well as the upgrade version and the different options that are available to you. So without further ado, let's jump in. All right, so here we are with our agenda. Here's what we're going to cover. We're going to talk about career literacy in California, some of the facts, stats, and standards, the California school dashboard, and the emerging importance of that. We'll talk about the state-sponsored career zone and the features that are there, how long we've been around, and how people are using that around the state. We will show you the course planner, which is a new feature that's been added just in the last 6 months that some of you may not know about, and is making it a lot easier for your students to start planning courses as they move towards their career and post-secondary goals. We'll show you a little bit of what goes into a free educator account. Then we'll get into the upgrade, why districts and schools are upgrading, why you might want to consider it, and some of the features there, lesson plans, career file storage, reports, and SSO. We'll also show you the Local Opportunities Network, which is a way to manage your work-based learning opportunities. The idea there is to get out of your spreadsheets and stop being the one person who's managing this across an entire school or even district, and have it integrated into the California Career Zone, make that a lot easier for you. And then we'll go through pricing and options, etc. All right, so now we're off and running. Let's talk about why career literacy is mattering more now than ever. As many of you know, 2 in 3 individuals will go to college after high school, but of those, only nearly 15% of those will not actually complete college. And so one of the missions of the California Career Zone is whatever the student's post-secondary goal, we want them to have that goal with a purpose of what they want out of that particular educational experience, because student loan debt is at unprecedented levels. And we believe that a big reason why that's happening is because people aren't exactly sure why they're going to college. They're just going, they're accruing lots of debt, and then it's taking them years to work it off. So one thing that you'll notice right off the bat with the California Career Zone is that we are outcome agnostic. We really want students to figure out what the right career choice is for them first, and then determine what kind of educational opportunities will best serve that career choice. That's really the mission of what we're trying to do here. Now, there's a practical reason why many of you may be here, which is sort of the evolving standards in California, the new California school dashboard, and in particular, the college career indicator. So we understand and are hearing from a lot of you that you need a system that will prepare students not just for college, but for careers too. It's important now that students are really informed in their choice of CTE pathway, because we want to get them all the way to capstone so they're able to complete that, and you can get as good a score on that college career indicator as possible. We want to give students the opportunity to learn about dual enrollment opportunities, and that's something the Career Zone is doing increasingly now. We want to be able to store career-related files and create transition plans. It's something that people are doing around the state inside the Career Zone, inside particularly the upgraded version. And then we want to give you lessons and reports that make launching a career readiness curriculum easier on you. So that's a big part of why we're here. Some of you may know that we've been working with the State Department of Education for almost 15 years now. And we work in particular with John Maris-Coots, who's an amazing partner to us in the Department of Education. And we've evolved the system quite a bit over the years. And the main mission, though, was always to have a system that students could get on for free, that they could register for accounts for free and use and learn about themselves, and then ultimately learn about the careers that are going to be right for them. So that has been our mission all along, but the system has gotten to the place it is now, in large part because of the feedback of educators like you. So we thank you for that, and we encourage you to keep that feedback coming. Keep telling us what you like about the system and what you'd like to see improved, and we'll keep actioning on that feedback. Okay, so let's give you a little preview of today's discussion. There really are sort of 2 career zones. There's the state-sponsored California Career Zone, and then there's an annual upgrade, which we offer and we'll talk about today. In the state-sponsored version of the Career Zone, you will get free student accounts, free educator accounts where you're able to manage up to 50 students per educator, self-assessments, career database, basic reporting, the new course planner, the Spanish language toggle, and a ton of other features, which we'll show a little bit of in the demo today. So you should know that if you're using the Career Zone, you're going to get a lot of mileage out of the system before you worry about any kind of an upgrade. The upgrade is really for schools and districts who want to get advanced reporting and management and administrative capabilities over the Career Zone, and also to customize it with localized data and a few other features that we're going to go into. But the big ones here, though, the things to think about is we also include a file management system. So as students are creating transition plans or writing college essays or these kinds of things, you're able to save all those directly inside of the Career Zone within an account that will stay with the student even after they leave school. So that's actually really exciting, and an important part of what's happening in the Career Zone is a student may create this account, say in their freshman year of high school or even earlier, but then they have it for life, and it's free to them for life. So even after they leave school, they'll continue to have it, which makes it really advantageous for them to create an account because it's free and it sticks with them. Okay, so we'll get into that into a lot more detail today, but I think the best way to do this webinar is to jump in and actually demo the system for you and show you what's going on. So I'm going to shift over to my browser and show you what's going on within the Career Zone. So you should be able to see the California Career Zone. This is the state-sponsored version that's up on the screen now, and please ping during chat if you're not seeing the Career Zone. I hope you are. And you'll see that there are now 3 main doors into the system. Now, we did undergo a redesign. If you hadn't seen it, this is new as of last year, the kind of look and feel of what we're doing here. A lot of the tools that you've been using over the years are still really easy to get to, and I'm going to show you how you do it. Discover Possibilities is where you're going to find all the self-assessments in the system. So I'm going to click on that one first and show you what's in there. We put make money choices first, and then the interest profiler, because those 2 self-assessments and financial literacy is the make money choices option. Those 2 are most popular in the state, and those are great places to start with students. Really engaging way to begin the discussion about career literacy and financial literacy and how the 2 intersect. We have other self-assessments here, but what we're going to show you today are these first 2, just to give you an idea of what's going on. I'm going to pop back out. If you want to dive right into California's industry sectors, you can do that through the middle door. It says Explore Industry Sectors. You click on that, and there you go. There's your 15 industry sectors. And what we're trying to do here is actually allow the student to see sort of at a sector level what's going on. So if I click on engineering and architecture, I'm going to get a high-level view of that sector in California, the number of openings, the recent graduates, the average wage, the occupations that are inside of that sector, and I can toggle that between highest paying, fastest growing, most employed. So there's different ways to organize the data so that the student is able to see what's going on. One handy feature that sometimes people miss, and I just want to make sure you all see it today, is that you can always compare occupations when you're in an occupation list. So if you've got 3 here, I'm going to click on 3, and then I'm going to click Compare Selected, and there you go. I get a side-by-side comparison from the amount of preparation that's needed to the cluster where it lives, the interest, the work values, the salary, projected openings, and more. Okay, so you can always compare occupations. The last thing I will show you, and we're going to give you a better idea what's going on with that during our demo, is the Career Hub. So the Career Hub is really designed to be a place for the student that is very much custom to them and their experience inside the Career Zone. So if I click there and I haven't signed in, and I don't have an account, it's going to encourage me to create an account. And if I haven't created an account, doing so is really easy. Like I said, the student doesn't have to pay anything. They're just basically giving a username. They're going to include the school they're in, graduation year, an email, and then they're off and running. If I sign in now, I'm going to dive in and just show you a little bit of what this looks like. Actually, let me do it in another version here. Sign in. And I'll talk more about this in a second. But I want to pull up my Career Hub. Here I am. And you'll see what this is doing is it's pulling in information, including my progress, the progress that I've made within the career zone, from my outcome of my work importance profiler, to my interest assessment, to my skills assessment, to the budget tool that I did. And I did a very aggressive budget, as you can see there. And then it has inspired by your exploration. So what that's doing is it's taking the activity that I've done as a student in the past in the career zone, and it's making recommendations to me about what else I might check out, what other self-assessment I might want to complete, whether there are occupations I should look at, what educational opportunities I might want to take a look at. So lots of different opportunities for me based off of the exploration that I've done. The career zone gets smarter the more the student uses it in terms of what the student might want to take a look at next. All right. As we scroll down, you're going to see the plans that I've created, whether those are career plans that I'm working on and developing, or lesson plans that have been assigned to me by my teacher. In the upgraded version of the career zone, this is the area for my file storage. Any files that I'm keeping or holding on to, those are saved there. I also have access to the journals I've created in the site, recently liked items, etc. All right, so that's just a little preview of what the Career Hub looks like. I'm going to bounce back out, and we're going to quickly show you a little bit of what's going on in the self-assessments. It is by design that we make the first clickable link, discover possibilities and self-assessments, because we really do want the student to better understand themselves before diving into careers. And one of the best places to do that is to start with the interest profiler. This is a very short assessment, or it can be. There's a 30 question and a 60 question, and they're pretty close in terms of their statistical accuracy. If you do the 30 question mini, you'll see that what's going to happen is the student's going to be asked a series of questions about different tasks that they might perform on the job. And they respond by clicking one of these simple sort of emoticons. And as they move through, they're going to say, all right, well, yeah, developing new medicine sounds cool, et cetera. And as they get through this, they're going to basically develop a profile of the type of work they'd like to do, and a kind of qualitative assessment using the Holland's codes as to what their kind of work personality profile is. Are they investigative or creative or enterprising, et cetera? So that's what they're trying to do here, is they're trying to get an idea of who they will be at work and what kinds of tasks they'd want to do. So that's something that's happening with the interest profiler, and the output of the interest profiler is a summary of different occupations that individual student might want to take a look at. I'm going to show you what that looks like in a little bit. I'm going to pop back out, go back into Discover Possibilities, and show you Make Money Choices. This is a really fun self-assessment. If you haven't used it, definitely encourage you to. There's plenty of students out there who don't know yet what they want to be, but they do have an idea of how they want to live. And so you can go through this exercise where they do a budget, where they choose their lifestyle, and they budget how much money they'll need. They can pick the county they're going to plan to live in. And then once they do that, they're able to make some decisions. Who are they going to live with, for instance? Are they going to rent their own apartment? Okay, well, that's fine. And cost of living is a little higher now, so maybe that cost isn't exactly right where we live, so I'm going to make it higher. And then I'm going to move on to the next section. I'm going to pick out the different utilities that I'm going to use, and then move to the next section. And then I'm going to choose, how do I eat? Do I mostly eat at home, or do I like to eat out at nice restaurants? That's going to give me sort of my food budget, so on and so forth, right? And you're also able to add categories that aren't covered in the budget tool. In the end, what the summary is going to show you is a monthly budget, how much money you need to make, and it factors taxes in there as well, in order to live the lifestyle that you've selected or the student selected. And this can be a real eye-opener for students, just to give them an idea of, wow, like the lifestyle I want to live is pretty expensive, and I'm going to need to make a lot of money in order to live that lifestyle. So it can really help in that regard. All right, so just a quick preview of a couple of the self-assessments, and we talked a little bit about the Career Hub. And the last thing that I'm going to point out about this homepage is that if you want to get to resources as an educator of basically how to use the system, you can go into the Educators Corner, and you will see the user guide is there. There's video tutorials. And this is also where you can sign up for a free educator account. The educator account, so you know, allows you to manage up to 50 students, and we're going to show you what management looks like in a little bit. And there's also a link to the California Career Center to show you some of the other great resources that John has within the California Career Resource Network. Okay, so just some things that you can do. Now, some new features. As I mentioned in the very beginning, we're constantly improving the system, and it's based on the amazing feedback that all of you provide. One of the things that we added last year was a Spanish language toggle. So if you go to the very bottom and you click on language, you can switch the language of the CareerZone to Spanish. So that's an option now. The other thing that we did was we introduced not so long ago a new tool, which is a course planner, and it's under documentation. And if you go to My Classes, this will allow students, once they log in, to actually begin to work through a course plan and select classes and get started on a new schedule. So I could start a new one or use one that I've already begun. I click there, and you'll see I've got from grade 7 on up through 12, and I can add a class by clicking Add Class. I can find a subject like English, for instance, add AP English, and I can drop that in, right? So as I move through here, that's basically how this is going to work, right? And we can spend some more time on the course planner in another webinar just to give you an idea of what's going on and how to use it. But we'd love you to give it a try and give us a sense of what you're doing. So we'll toggle this to expand or contract the list. Okay, so as you move through, your students are able to create this course plan, and it's also going to tell you if they've met their prerequisites, if they're aligned to various standards, and then you can enter notes as well. So please do give that one a shot. That's a brand new feature, and like I said, we will be improving it based on your feedback, so definitely give it a try. All right, so that's all part of the state-sponsored system, different things that you can do, and there's a lot more inside the system, but I want to be able to cover both the upgrade and the state-sponsored site today, so there's more to show you. So let's move on and show you a little bit of what's happening inside the upgrade version of the California CareerZone. All right, so before I logged into, it says local pathways here. And if we were in a district upgrade or a school upgrade, you'd see, it would say for your school or district right here. It wouldn't even say local pathways anymore. And one of the things that you probably noticed right away was that I have a new tab here and it says manage. Now I'm gonna give you an idea of what this looks like using our demo site. And the way I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna use this admin test login. But one of the very first things you might have noticed if you were very quick is that we've got a single sign-on capability in the upgrade. We've got sign in with Google, you can do Clever, you do MS365. We've got different options for making the need for usernames and passwords go away, which is great because a lot of times kids will lose those types of things. And while we have the ability to reset passwords inside the system, we find that this is usually a little bit easier for folks. So we sign in. And I'm signed in right now as a manager, not as the student. And I've got my Manage tab up here, all right? And as the administrator, I'm able to see a lot more than I was able to see before. I've got a whole list of different reports that I can run on system activity, from account login to usage by schools, to the colleges and majors viewed, to the industries viewed, et cetera. I can also start customizing data. I can manage my local opportunities, and I'm going to show you more of that later on. I can create surveys for my students and then distribute those. But the place that you'll probably be most active as a teacher or administrator is in this user management section. If I click on Manage Users, I'm going to get a list of users right here. And as I go through, I have the ability to run reports on individuals, or I can actually look at them in aggregate. So for instance, if I've got a list of 212 demo users here, and I want to know what's been their activity in the system, I'm able to click Run a Report, click the Dashboard Report, And now I get a nice high level view across the board of all my students and the different things that they've done inside the system. The green dots indicate that an activity has been completed. A hash mark indicates that it hasn't yet been started. And this all exports to CSV or Excel and can be saved too, right? So this is just one of the things that you can do, is run this high level dashboard report to see the sort of activity that people are doing, the different self-assessments, the interest profiler, work importance profiler, skills profiler, et cetera, and then save colleges, courses, et cetera. Okay, so that's all inside of the reporting capability. But you might want to go deeper. So say I'm a counselor, I'm working with Quinn, and I want to have an idea of the activity that he's done inside the system and learn a little bit more about him. So I'm going to click on Actions. I'm going to click on View Profile Report. And here within the profile report, I get a really nice view of all the work that Quinn has done inside of the CareerZone. So he's completed the interest profiler. He has not done the skills profiler or the work importance profiler. I've got a little view of his results here in the interest profiler. I can see the occupation matches that he's had. So I kind of know what sorts of careers are a good fit for him, and I can start steering him in those directions and maybe talking about a course plan that reflects those interests, et cetera. He's very into science, for example. And then also, as he's flagged items or given a thumbs up to different occupations, I'd be able to see that too. I'd be able to see the plans and the files that he's created inside the system. Now you can see he hasn't actually saved any files, but I know that he just submitted an assignment to me, a career essay, that I think would be very helpful to save inside of his profile. Now, this is something that you can do inside of the upgraded version of the California CareerZone, which is an annual subscription, and we'll talk about pricing later, but you can't do it inside the state-sponsored version. I would click on Actions. I would click on Manage Files. I can choose the file from my desktop. I'm going to find his career essay. I'm going to open that. And now that file has been saved to his Career Hub, and it's there. And we're not putting any file storage limits on it. It's there, it's saved, it's a career-related document, and we're okay with that. And one of the other nice things that you can do here is you can give that a tag. Now, I might decide that I've got an assignment that I want all my students to finish called, career essays, all right? So I'm gonna give this the tag career essay. And now not only do I have a file name, Quinn's career essay, but I have the tag career essay, which is going to standardize it. And then I'm going to close that career essay for Quinn. And I'm going to go to another student. Let's go to Jason and let's find him. Let's go to Actions. I've got his essay on my desktop as well. I'm going to go to Manage Files. I'm going to choose his file. And here's Jason's. He called his file My Career Dream. But I know it's not, that could get confusing, so I want to give it the tag, and I'm going to give it the tag career essay, all right? Close. And I'm going to do one more of these just for good measure, and I'm going to find Joe, and with Joe, I'm going to similarly upload, oh, I don't want Joe I'd rather find Joe the student, not Joe the administrator. So let me see if I can find that. Yes, there's Joe the student. And Manage Files. Put Joe's career essay in there. We'll also give this a tag, and you're about to see why I'm doing all this tagging stuff. Close. All right, so now we've done that. So we've got my 3 students that I had that I want to now understand who's got that tag. So I'm going to run a report, and it's the tagging report. And in this case, I'm going to click the career essay tag. All right, and now I've got all my students listed, but for the ones that I actually uploaded a file, I see a dot with a 1 in it. There's one file with that tag, which is career essay, right? And I would be able to see that for Joe, and I'd be able to see that for Quinn as well. Okay, now that was a little hard to see because what happened there is I've got all my students listed in that report. But if I wanted to, what I could do is I'm going to add Quinn to a group called Webinar Group. Okay. And the way I'm adding Quinn to a group is really simple, right? All I'm doing is typing in a group name right in this open field right next to his name. Similarly, let me pull up Joe again, and I'm going to add Joe to Webinar Group. And remember to please go on mute if you're not on mute. All right. And then I'm going to go to Jason. And I'm going to do Jason as well. I'm going to add him to webinar group. Now, this is another feature that is really nice when you're doing management, right? Because you may not want to look at all 212 of your students. You may want to just look at a cohort or a smaller group of them. So I type in webinar group, and now the only students who appear in my list are the 3 who I just added to webinar group. I only added 3, so I use this sort of simple type into the field method. But there's a way, if you have much bigger groups or you're trying to upload a number of different groups at the same time, it's really easy to do that by clicking on the import users option and clicking on group assignments. So there is a way to do this kind of in bulk. I don't want you to worry that you're gonna have to type it in for each individual. So now I've pulled up this webinar group, and I'm gonna go back to that tagging report. Click on tagging report, and I can click on career essay here, and I can see, all right, all 3 of them have the career essay. The other thing that's nice about using this group method and of narrowing down my list is if I want to run the dashboard report for just these students, I can do that. I can see what they've completed, just those students, all right? So use groups. Use groups whether you're a free educator managing just 50 students or you're using the upgrade and you've got a lot more, because groups are going to allow you to kind of narrow down your list and get a better idea of what's going on. The other thing that you're going to like about this is if you want to send a message, you may not want to send a message to all 212 of your students, but I do want to send a message to these 3 students. So if I click send a message, I would say, hello there, this is a test. And then it says send a message to the 3 selected users. I send a message, and boom, now it's going to get sent to all 3 of these individual students. Similarly, if I assign a lesson, you're able to assign a lesson to just those students or all the students who are listed in your managed users listing. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit, but I'm going to pop out and show you from Quinn's perspective, the student perspective, all the stuff we just did from an administrator point of view, like how does it appear in Quinn's account, all right? So I gave him the username CA local number 1. I'm going to sign in. Quinn doesn't have a picture yet, but what we're going to see is in the upper right, I have a little 1 that tells me that I've got a message. All right, so I'm going to open that up and you can see the message that I just sent Quinn. All right, so that's one thing. And if I want to respond, I would open up the message and send a reply. All right, so that's possible. The other thing that I'll show you is I uploaded that file for Quinn. So I go to my Career Hub for Quinn, and I see under recent files, there's the essay. There's Quinn's career essay. I uploaded it on his behalf that time. If he wanted to upload it, he could. You know, he'd click on manage all files and choose files, and he'd be able to upload it. He wouldn't be able to tag it. You have to tag it for him, but he can upload the file. All right. So both the teacher can upload a file for a student and the student can upload a file for themselves. Okay. So that's just a little bit of what you'd see. And this is probably a good time to mention that, you know, I'm kind of playing with the system for all of you during this webinar so you can kind of see what's going on. You have the ability to access a demo site. And if you'd like access to that demo site to kind of do a little bit of what I'm doing, or you just are able to try out some of these features, just email us at sales@headed2.com, HEADED number 2.com, and we'll show that email address towards the end. And we'll get you access to that so you can try this out yourself, okay? All right, so that's a little bit of what the students' lens is and what they're actually seeing. I'm gonna log out and I'm gonna go back into my admin. And we're going to go back to managed users and show you some more of what's happening there. And I'm getting background, so just everyone, if you make sure you're on mute, that would be great. Tried muting all, but it didn't work. Okay, that's okay. All right, so here we are. We're in Manage Users, and we've shown you a few things. We showed you how to create a group on the fly, how to run a report, and we showed you even how to assign a lesson. There is the ability to do bulk imports, and there's the bulk uploading of users and group assignments. This is actually a good time to mention that in California, we're able to sync up with Aries for rostering and to make this sort of importing of users a lot easier for you. So within the upgrade, that is a capability and something we're able to do. So just something to be aware of. But the other thing that I wanted to show you before we show you the local opportunities and the work-based learning system is to show you a little bit about lessons. Because lessons can be a really helpful way to organize your curriculum and organize how you want students to move through the California Career Zone. So I'm going to go to Manage, and I'm going to click on Manage Lessons. So sorry about the loading issues there. I'm not sure what was happening, but that's what happens when you do a webinar. There's always something fun. Here we are, our lesson plan listing. So the first thing that I want to point out is that the site that you're seeing right now is including some of my lesson plans from other states. So I don't want you to get too thrown off by the fact that you're seeing some PA standards. But if you were, you're working within the system, within the upgrade, you're going to see a list of pre-populated lessons that you can use within the system. And you're able to make that kind of a jumping off point for the creation of your own lessons. So the very first thing to point out is that if you're in the upgrade, you're able to use some of the lessons we already have in here, including, say, a lesson on entrepreneurship, like on budgeting, on skills and skills assessments, etc. So all of that is in there. And if you want to preview, if you're inside the upgrade and you want to preview one of these lessons, you'd click on the lesson and you get an idea from the educator standpoint. If you click on About This Lesson, this will show the educator what's happening, what resources are needed, etc. And then it'll give you a preview of the different tasks that you would want to assign as well, and that the student's going to see when you assign the lesson plan. So the first thing to point out is that in the upgrade, you're going to get pre-populated lessons that you can use as a jumping off point. And I say a jumping off point because even if you don't love the whole thing and you just want to use some of it, you can always click on Actions, copy the lesson, and then edit your copy, and then basically make that your own version of that lesson that you would then assign. You can also create a lesson completely from scratch just by clicking Create a Lesson. And if you have a free educator account, this is going to be your only option in Manage Lessons, is to create your own lesson. You're not going to be able to use one of the ones that we have pre-populated. That's what we have reserved for the upgraders. But here it's pretty simple to do this. You would give it a name, you'd give it a description for the educator, you'd give it a description for the student, you give a suggested grade level where you might assign a lesson like this. You click Save, and then the next page is going to give you the tasks that you'd want to assign. Example tasks might be like the budget tool that we showed you earlier, the interest profiler, or you may direct the student to write a written reflection about their experience in exploring careers. Those would be the types of things you might be able to do when you create a lesson. Now you've got a lesson and you're all ready to go. And now the next question that you might have is, well, okay, how do I assign that? So if you go back to Manage Users, and we're going to use our webinar group again, just to give you an example, webinar group. I'm going to pull up that group. I'm going to click Assign a Lesson. And once that, why is that not loading for me? Oh, I think my internet just is a little slow today. But once it pulls up, we're going to be able to take the lessons that we just showed you and actually assign them to students. So I think probably it's because I'm webinaring and trying to browse at the same time. Never a good idea. Okay, so here we are. Is the entrepreneur's life right for me? I'm going to click the green person with the plus, and then it's going to confirm that I wish to assign that lesson to 212 users. No, I don't want it to 212 users. I want it just to my group. So let's pull that up. Try that one more time. Webinar group. Assign a lesson. Wait patiently instead of clicking lots of buttons in a panicked way. Hopefully this will pull up in a moment. And here we are. See, my patience was rewarded. I click on there, and now it's going to say to 3 selected users. I click OK. And now that lesson has been assigned to those 3 students in that group, okay? And they're going to see that lesson appear under plans in their career hub, and they're going to know that, okay, I've got to do this particular lesson, I've got to do the tasks that are involved in that lesson, and as they go through each task, the task is going to mark as completed, and then you're going to be able to know when you look at their portfolio summary report that they've completed the lesson. Okay, so the reason we like lessons is because it's going to allow you to standardize how students move through the career zone. And in particular, if you're working with different grade levels and you have sort of different areas of focus for college and career readiness, that'll allow you to do that. The other thing that we've done and showed folks is you can use this system to develop and create transition plans and to standardize what goes into a transition plan for a student. And that's something that we see that community using and making the most of. So something to think about is this is a very flexible way to curate a way through the system for the individual student. It's something that you can make the most of there. Okay, so we've kind of gone through some of the main features, and I want to summarize what we've done in this management tab. Is we've gone to manage users, we've created a group, we've sent a message, we've run reports, we've saved files for the individual students and given those files tags and then been able to see which students have files with those tags. We've also created a lesson and assigned a lesson. So I hope the message and maybe the biggest takeaway here is, you know, there's already a lot you can do in the state-sponsored version of the California Career Zone, but when you upgrade, whether you're upgrading to the free educator account or to the larger upgrade at the school or district level, there's a lot more that's available to you that gives you more flexibility and control over how the Career Zone is used and actually monitoring how students are engaging it and seeing that they've completed various activity. Okay, so that's what I wanted to point out there. I want to actually finish this demonstration with a preview of what we call our local opportunities network. I'm going to click on this version. This is from Humboldt County, still one of the best in class in the state in terms of how they've approached this. And we're really impressed with all the work that Susie Hushley and her team have done with their own version of local opportunities. So what is this and why are they doing it? Basically, the idea is they have their students doing work-based learning opportunities in the county, and they wanted to make those opportunities known to students in a sort of centralized, easy to discover way. Now they've got their own program, which they call Education at Work. It's a county level program, Humboldt counties. And if I click here, this particular profile is the profile for their work-based learning program. All right, and it gives you a little description. If you're an employer, you can learn about it and you can actually apply to be included in this listing of companies and programs that students can get that training in. They've done more with this. In addition to sort of describing what's going on here, they've used this profile page as a way for students to record participation in a work-based learning opportunity. Similarly, for educators to do the same and employers to record their participation. So that's a way to assure that a student has actually done what they've said they've done in terms of if it's a job shadow or a mentorship or that kind of thing, you're able to use these surveys that are built into the system to make sure that these things are actually happening. Now, if I go back to the homepage, you'll see that at the start, you see a list of icons. And each of these icons are for different opportunities. And those are sort of the ones that are being featured, you know, at that moment in time. But if I click on View All, I'm going to get a list of 136 results. Now, 135 of those results are local opportunities that students in Humboldt County can discover and learn more about. They're listed in alphabetical order, but they can also filter it by industry sector, by location, by the type of involvement. So you can see the type of involvement we're talking about, whether it's, you know, field trip hosting or job shadowing or mock interviewing or mentoring, it's all here. So this makes it really easy for the student to find exactly what they're looking for in Humboldt County and to learn more about it. And they don't just have to hear through word of mouth that there is an opportunity somewhere. Now, if we dive into one of the individual profiles that we've got in the system, you'll see a little more what the companies are doing. So if I click on Laco Associates, I will show you their profile. They've got a little system about, a little write-up on who they are and what they do. They've got a contact, which is optional. You don't need to include that, but it's something you can do. They've got the industry sectors that they employ within. They've got the actual occupations that they employ here as well. And they can include a lot more. This company profile is pretty flexible in terms of the different fields that they might add. Now, the really fun thing about this is I might have heard about Laco Associates. It's possible in Humboldt County, and just decided that I wanted to look them up directly the way I just did and just showed all of you. But what's more likely is that as a student, I did the interest profiler. I showed a proclivity for civil engineering or for science. And then I happened to, in my exploration, have found this occupation of civil engineers. And that looks pretty cool. And wow, that annual salary looks awesome. And I'm going to go through this. I'm going to learn about the job. And I'm going to think, this is a really good fit for me. And this is something that I think I might want to pursue. Now, when I click on companies, what I'm going to see is that there actually is a local opportunity. There's a local company, or several here actually, where I might be able to learn more about civil engineering. I click on Laco Associates, and now I'm bounced into this local opportunities network system. So in summary, what this system is doing is it's taking all that kind of high-level exploration that the student is doing, and it's giving them sort of a practical application nearby. And a lot of you have relationships with companies, dual enrollment programs, et cetera, near you, and don't have a great way to promote those opportunities. You're relying a lot on just telling students about it, or maybe flyers or that kind of thing. When you use this system, students are discovering it on their own through the window of career preparation and exploration. So it's a really exciting way for them to discover these local opportunities, and creating them and building this out is just not that hard. We've got, like I said, a profile system with very customizable profiles for both your own sort of central program, but also for all the companies and partners that you work with. And the way you would manage that within the upgrade is by going to Manage, and then you click on Manage Local Opportunities, and then you start building. You start building different profiles. You can create a profile by clicking here, and then it sort of walks you through all the steps that are involved in developing this. But you should know this is still a relatively new feature of the upgraded system of the CareerZone. We're happy to work with you if it's exciting to you and you want us to hopefully show you more of what's going on here and make it work for your school or district. All right, so that's local opportunities. I want to sort of take a step back now and see if any of you have any questions on chat. So let me quickly open up the chat window and hopefully see if those are there. And if you have questions, like I said, please feel free to ask those in the chat window. All right, so I'm gonna kind of go back a little bit. And all right, so there's a question specifically about Shasta County. No, there is not that. Local opportunities is not yet in Shasta County, but that's kind of what we're doing here today is we're introducing this and hopefully showing you that it's possible. So speak to folks in the county and pool resources, and hopefully we can make this work for you. Is there a place where we can look up the costs and what extra things are included if we wanted the upgrade? Yeah, so that's where we're going to go next, and kind of where we're going to finish the webinar is to talk about pricing and the different options that we reviewed in the call today. But I just want to make sure there weren't any other questions on the features that we went through, because I know it covered a lot. All right, looks like we're good right now. So I'm going to click back over to the presentation. And all right, so here is basically a rundown of what we covered and what the different options are for you. Okay, so first things first, the free educator account. If you're at all interested in what's going on here, I really encourage you to sign up for one. because the free educator account is, like it says, free. You're able to manage up to 50 students. You can start to use some of the features that we've talked about. Not everything we showed is available, but a lot of it is. And you'll have your access as an individual teacher. You'll be able to run some basic reporting. You can create those lessons and assign them, so you can start to play with that and learn a little bit about what's going on. So that's in the first tier, the sort of free tier, and we want you to be aware of that. The next tier up is a program account. So if you've got, it's a smaller number of students, over 50, but it's not sort of school-wide, it's just kind of within a program, and you want to have multiple teachers be able to access student reporting. You want to be able to use this work-based learning system, local opportunities, and start populating those opportunities. Maybe you're running a CTE program and you want to actually make this come to life for folks. That's an option too. You've got the program account sort of at a middle tier. And then the main upgrade is what we call local pathways. It's $1,000 for 350 student seats, and then it's $2.75 for each additional student seat. And a couple things to point out about that. One is that in the end, we're only going to charge you for what you use. So if you reserved 500 seats and only 400 students ended up actually using the system, were active users in the system, then we will credit the next year's renewal with 100 seats that weren't actually used, and those basically would credit against the balance for the following year. We want you to only pay for what you use is really the main point, okay? The other thing to point out is that as schools and districts get larger, we know that the price actually starts getting bigger and bigger, and so we want you to know that there are discounts that are available. This is basically a rate card rate, and so we want you to email us and tell us about your needs and your budget constraints, et cetera, and we'll work with you. But the main features that you're getting in this local pathways upgrade are, for one thing, that single sign-on. So from the point of entry, things get a lot easier. The student is able to sign in with Clever or Google or MS365. You can sync it up with Aries, which is something that you can't do in the state-sponsored system. Then once you're in, you're able to manage a much larger group of students, obviously, the number of students that you reserve. You can have unlimited teachers and administrators, so there's no cap on that. You've got access to our turnkey curriculum, you've got access to the local opportunities network, and you've got access to the file management system as well. So that's there for you too. So all of that is included. And the other thing that's included is you've got your own custom URL for your school or district. You get 1 hour of professional development that just comes with subscribing. So we'll run you and anyone you want through a webinar for your particular system to get people familiar with it. So that's included too. So those are some of the features of the upgrade and the cost. And then if you want to get in touch with us, I put the email at the bottom here. sales@headed2.com is the way you contact us. But really the place I wanted to finish was sort of why us and why the Career Zone. This was a system that was designed in California for California. It's been around for 15 years. We are pathway agnostic, so we're not just pointing kids to 4-year colleges and universities, though that's definitely an option and can be great for some kids. It might be about a certification. It might be about a 2-year program. It could be about something local. It could be about jumping right into the workforce. So we're not telling the student exactly what the end game is, aside from, hey, the end game should be knowing yourself and knowing the career that's going to be a good fit for you. We're constantly adding new features like Spanish language, like the course planner. So this is a system that continues to evolve. It's always going to be free for students. And like I said in the beginning, it's an account that once they create, it stays with them for life, even after they leave school, and it will stay free. All right, so if they create resumes, they could come back to the system and save them there, and then they always know where they are, because those can be hard to find sometimes. And then, of course, there's special discounts available for larger districts and special education programs too. So if you're working in special education, please contact us and ask us about that as well. So that's a little bit of the why Career Zone. I'll leave it on pricing as well, just for you to see that too. And then I'll ask if there are any other questions that people have. Happy to answer them, and we'll make this webinar available to you. So thanks again, and have a great rest of your day.